Welcome to St. Augustine this evening. It is Thursday, March the 28th, and we have a star-studded cast for you today. We have all kinds of people. We're going to have a lot of fun. Probably not as much fun as Tuesday, because Davey was on fire on Tuesday.
Yeah, he was.
And I got put on timeout when I got home. But we're hoping for that not to happen tonight, mostly because my wife is busy getting ready for dinner.
That's funny, because Darcy said that she loved the show and that it was fantastic. So you got in trouble and I got complimented.
You did. You got compliments because you behaved yourself and I didn't.
Oh,
so,
that's so
yes, it's a very unfair rating system in our house.
That's cool.
I have to live to a different standard.
I love chicks holding up chicks.
I don't think it was that. It was just holding me accountable. So anyway, we got a great show for you guys. It's Thursday. It's the end of the week for us. Mm-hmm. Some people work tomorrow. You got a morning show tomorrow?
No.
You guys are off tomorrow?
No. So we have a morning show, but I'm not going to be in to produce it. Clay is.
Okay, so you're off tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it's the end of your week too. I don't think our other guest Lenny works at all.
We work on Fridays.
Who?
Us. Just not in the studio.
Oh, I know. I work on Friday too. I just don't have to do a podcast Friday afternoon.
Must be nice to be the boss.
It is nice to be the boss. You get to set the hours. And speaking of being the boss, if you want the boss car company in town, Bozard Ford Lincoln in St. Augustine, their goal is to make sure your time and experience buying a new or used car is stress-free, fun, and enjoyable. Bozard is a family-owned Ford dealership that has been in business since 1949, and Bozard Ford Lincoln has been the recipient of numerous dealer awards, including being ranked #1 automotive dealer in the nation by Dealer Rater, and they also won back-to-back President's Awards. They're a fantastic company. They've got all kinds of great services out there on State Road 16 to serve you, and Bo and Letty and all of their staff would love to see you. Go see them. Check them out online, too, at bozardford.com. Or when you go out there in person, stop by and pick up the, what's the name of that? The Jiffy Burger. Yeah, that burger.
That one. We swear it's delicious. Hebert, Kresge & Associates. They are a full-service local CPA firm with a team of skilled professionals dedicated to providing top-level service in the areas of tax compliance and planning for businesses, individuals, estates, and trusts. They do audits, reviews, and other accounting services, business valuations, forensic analysis, and litigation support. You can reach them at 904-460-0747 or HebertKresgeCPA.com. Whether you know it or not, when you purchase a home, you need a title company, Land Title of America. They are there to help you refinance, sale, or purchase a home. Don't get stuck with some out-of-town title company who doesn't give a crap when you are stuck with challenges. Stay local and choose Land Title of America. Just call or text Stephen Collins at 904-501-4481. He specializes in all types of real estate transactions. Land Title, your local title company, ensuring America's land one title at a time. Because, Mike Davis,
they give a crap.
Yeah, they do.
They do. They're awesome. We love Stephen Collins. All right. Also, opening their doors in 2008, Brightway Insurance, the Casey agency, has proudly stood by their customers through hurricanes, major floods, hail, and fires. Through these events, the agency has become a much-needed insurance resource in times of trouble and hardship. Honesty and integrity are the pillars of their core values, says Ashley Casey, and they pride themselves on being insurance experts while developing strategies that help their clients meet their insurance needs. Give them a call. Brightway Insurance, the Casey agency. They have insured this show since day one.
Yahoo!
Bravest insurance company I know. All right,
especially with me on the air.
Especially with Davey on the air. Second annual Grand Luau for Task Force Hydro 1. You can still get your tickets May 11th, 5 to 8 p.m. It's catered Hawaiian food, DJ music, hula dancers, silent auction, and a raffle.
Have they asked you yet whether you're going to be one of the guest stars in the hula dancing?
I am not hula dancing.
Oh, come on.
I am not hula dancing.
They'll give you like a coconut bra and everything.
Who says I don't already have one? I'm shocked and appalled that you don't think that I would have one.
How dare I assume?
How dare you? Man is conservative me without a coconut bra. According to the March 28th Jackie Hurd calendar, which is amazing and beautiful, and the pictures are all great.
Yep.
There's nothing today. Today
is Monday, Thursday.
It is Maundy Thursday in the church world. That is 100% true.
We are in Holy Week. Palm Sunday to Easter Sunday is Holy Week. Monday, Thursday is the Last Supper. Jesus celebrated with the disciples, and he got down on the floor and he washed their feet. And that is where we get communion from that Last Supper as well. So I'm going to be running out as soon as we're off the air
We're going to finish a few minutes early
because I have to live stream.
because of that. Because
Yes.
we all have places to be. But before I introduce my guest, I just got to give a shout out to the city of St. Augustine.
All right.
Been dealing with several city people, a lot of them on vacation this week. One answered the phone from Spain for me
Nice.
this week. One answered the phone in Washington, D.C. on vacation. And the other was home watching his kids. So when you say that you don't get service from the city of St. Augustine, that is not true.
Yes.
There are some great people that work for the city. And not only are they dedicated to doing their job, they do their job when they're on vacation. And that's kind of a knock that public sector people get. It's not always true.
Yes.
Private sector people like me sometimes throw shade at them for that, but in this case, all
too.
of them did an amazing job, and I am grateful for them answering their calls and staying in touch.
Yes.
So, yep.
Oh, before we get to our guests, just to make it easier when we leave, we're going to smile for the camera for the thumbnail. You ready? All right, we're good.
Okay. I don't even know what that meant.
It's producery stuff. Blake knows
is.
what it means.
Blake
Hi,
knows
Blake.
what it means.
Hello.
Blake, welcome back, champion of trivia.
Thank you.
BB is here with us today.
Bibi Netanyahu?
Beebs is here today. We're just going to short it to Beebs.
Beeps.
Thank you, Mike.
Isn't that Justin Bieber's nickname?
Yep.
No, yes, it is. Yes, it is, but we don't talk about him.
Okay.
Who?
The Canadian guy.
We don't. There's only one Canadian guy we talk about.
Justin Trudeau.
No, we don't. Well, we kind of grouse about him,
Yeah.
but the only guy we really like is Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
Because he's about to come out with an incredible Deadpool 3.
Mike has a man crush on Ryan Reynolds.
He's very funny.
Hey, Joey Vaugh's a great
He's
Canadian.
also very attractive, if you haven't noticed, Amanda.
I haven't.
No, he's awesome. He's great. I love the Deadpool. I always tell people if I was growing up, I wanted to be Captain America. And then when
Yeah.
I saw Deadpool, I was like, boy, as an adult, I wish I could be that superhero. Because then you can say all the things that you shouldn't say. Multiple
Isn't that what we do?
Here we do, yeah. So it's at the end of the day. All right, we have someone that if you've watched Bollox over the years,
Yes.
you're very, very familiar with. And it's his first time appearing on this show, Lenny Remo. Lenny, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm very flattered and pleased to be here.
We are glad to have you. I gave you a little bit of grief before the show about the Remo. What was the name of the movie?
Remo Williams.
Remo Williams, the movie Fred Ward was in. Before he hit cinematic royalty, in my opinion, years later in Tremors.
Yeah.
That's what he deserved an Academy Award for that role.
Tremors is
Wasn't he
great.
Gus Grissom as well?
He was Gus Grissom.
Yeah.
He wasn't bad as Gus Grissom.
No. Well, he's square-jawed.
Especially when he panicked.
Right.
No, so joking with you about the Remo Williams, you said there was a whole series of books, which I did not know.
Oh, yeah. I would say 25 or more.
Yeah.
I mean, there may be more than that. Yeah, there's a lot of them. I think the series is called The Destroyer.
The Destroyer. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Now I know what to look for.
Right, right. Because Remo Williams was after the colon. I think it was the Destroyer. Because I was reading all sorts. I can't believe how well. I don't know that I'm all that well adjusted. But I was reading the Executioner, the Destroyer, the Doc Savage, which I was telling you about, which is phenomenal. Because that one went back to the 30s. He had his office in the Empire. It was brilliant the way they crafted that series. We'll talk about that later.
So you're a descendant of Genghis Khan.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
I mean, everything gets wiped out, right? The Destroyer series, the Punisher series. So.
Well, I've always tried to decide that, by the way, you ever notice that anybody who had a past life, they were not like a housemaid or a stable boy. They were somebody of prominence or fame. Yeah. Well, my grandfather, before he came over to Italy, was an orphan.
Yes.
And made his way from Genoa to Liverpool, and then Liverpool to Hoboken, where my father was born. But my grandfather was a redheaded Italian who spoke English with a Cockney accent. Never had the pleasure of meeting the man. He passed away before I was born, but I have one picture. He was a greengrocer. When in New York, the greengrocers were all Italian.
Yep.
So I have a picture of him in his store with his apron down to his ankles. But that point being is because he was an orphan, I claim, pick a day of the week. Machiavelli, Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo. Pick an Italian anyone. I could be related.
Yep.
So.
Well, they say that we're all related to either Genghis Khan or Charlemagne, right?
Okay.
My family's related to Charlemagne.
I liked Pippin. That was a great musical. A great musical.
Yeah.
Yep.
That'll work.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this.
Oh, don't touch that.
I didn't touch it.
It's
I
a
did.
spammer in the comments.
Is
I'm going
it?
to delete him. Yes.
Yeah, you got to get rid of that.
Ignore
dude.
him, boomer.
Okay. I didn't. I just, okay.
Facebook's not coming out here with 35 hours left.
Well,
See
first of all, I
issues
didn't
why.
even know. First of all, I didn't know how we made it the first 35 seconds on this show, much less 35 hours. So
I'll
awesome.
ban him. It's okay.
Okay, cool, good. He's gone. Yeah,
Working
Bobby.
on it.
Thanks, Bobby. I'm right there with you. Us boomers have to stick together. I'm not a boomer.
Exactly.
I'm a near boomer.
You are
I'm
near
a Gen
boomer.
Xer that was right on the threshold of being a boomer.
I'm a millennial that's right on the cusp of Gen X.
Yeah, and Blake is his own person.
He is.
Meow.
Right, Beebs?
Meow.
Hey, Beebs, what are you wearing today? What is that?
Cincinnati Reds, baby.
I guess you have a chance right now, right? It's the beginning of the season. You're all good. You guys had a better season last year than anybody thought you were going to
Yeah,
have.
we did.
Yeah.
We did. Because the one man, Ellie De La Cruz, 2024 MVP, Ellie De La Cruz, mark it down. Write it down right now.
Yeah.
That's going to be my prediction for this year.
Where do you think you're going to finish?
I'm probably going to say, so it's supposed to, we're probably going to win the NL Central, but finish third in the postseason rankings
Okay.
in the NL. So it's probably Braves are number 1, Dodgers number 2, Reds number 3.
Okay.
Well, you're giving the Braves a lot of credit with the Dodgers still out there in their bazillion-dollar payroll.
Well, but
They have a lot of
some of the guys
shenanigans
might
going
not be
on.
playing at the end of the season,
Well,
Lenny.
that's true. Some of them may not be playing at the beginning of the
they
season
might
at this
not.
point.
There's a
Those
little bit
handcuffs could
going
be
on.
clinking.
I know. But we were talking before the show about the best comment this week was Pete Rose. I wish I had an interpreter in the 70s.
That was brilliant.
I
Go,
love it.
Pete.
So who's your baseball team?
The Mets. I am long-suffering Mets fan.
Okay.
And we
God,
got
I
rained out
dislike
today.
both of you intensely on opening day. I just want you to know that.
That's fine.
Just during the game. Once it's over, I'm fine. But yeah.
And the Mets are surprisingly good on opening day. They've got a very, very positive opening day record.
Yeah.
But we'll find out tomorrow.
And now for the joke of the day. Amanda, who is your baseball team?
I'm Switzerland. I grew up rooting for the Atlanta Braves.
Okay.
Like my grandfather.
Yes.
Damn you, Tim Turner.
Yeah, suck it.
Ted Turner got a lot of Braves fans out there.
I know.
But you have to remember, it was
Well.
not good baseball at that time. If you were watching the Braves, it was bad.
Hey,
Right, but
it was
but
a
you
good
could see
invention.
him.
It was a good investment eventually.
I think for him it was a phenomenal, and I'm glad that they won while he was still around to be a part of it. We had a babysitter one time. She was an older lady. She was like in her 60s, and she said, if I just think positive about these games, these sports games, my team always wins, so I'll start thinking positive about the Braves. I said, you can't be that good. If you are, I'll send you to Atlanta, but there's no way you're that good. I mean, my brother and I, like 10 years old, looked at each other and said, she's not that good. No one can save them at that point in time.
Oof. Hey, like I said, long suffering.
Yeah.
We made it in '69. I went to the World Series in '86, and we haven't been back then since. Well, we did. Yeah, we were there in 2000.
You were. They had to play the Yankees.
Yankees,
Though. It was a
yeah.
Subway
Yeah.
Series.
Yeah.
I was in New York. I was in Long Island for that.
Yeah.
And it was a big deal on my college campus.
Was that 2000 or 2001?
It
The-
was
the
fall
sub-
of 2000.
The Subway Series, World Series, 2000.
Yeah.
But I thought Bush threw out the first pitch.
No,
and I
that
thought
was
that
the
was-
2001.
that was
after
That
September
was
11th.
Diamondbacks.
September
That was Diamondbacks. Yankees. Diamondbacks won that series.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
Yep.
I for some reason thought he threw it out in the Subway Series.
Nope.
No.
And I'm not
Because-
Davey. I'm not going to stick with a fact that's wrong
Oh,
all through
rude.
this conversation. So.
Rude.
Yeah, Clinton was still president at the time.
Okay.
And then actually, we still weren't sure who's going to be president during that, like who's going to be the next president when the World Series is happening.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, and also recipes Joe Lieberman.
Recipe.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I thought he was one of the nicer political guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought he was one of the more honest political guys that were out there for as long as he stayed in.
Yep.
He's one of the few ones that the longer they stayed, I respected him. I didn't agree with some of his positions, but I felt like he was one of the guys, if you asked him a question, you'd get a straight answer and not just the talking points answer.
Yeah.
And so I appreciated him for that. And I thought that he did a good service for the United States. He was obviously on an opposite side from
Did
me.
he
but-
pass away? Did I?
Yeah,
This
yeah,
week.
Yeah, he just died. Yeah.
Oh, this week?
yesterday, I think.
Yeah, 86, I think.
Rest
Yeah.
in peace.
But he had
I didn't know.
integrity. He had integrity.
Well, I don't think any of them had integrity. That might be a stretch. That might be.
He had a sense of integrity.
Right. An appearance, an illusion.
Yes.
All right, okay, fine.
Yes, I 100% agree with that.
Okay.
Right. I would like to, but what I've seen from all of them over the years, it's like I lose all. The bad actors have made any ones that are the good actors or any part of the good actors. I'm just skeptical.
Yeah.
Well, it's also in those situations, it's very tough to stay true to your convictions because there's always something else that's twisting it in a different direction, or you have to choose the lesser, like what we're dealing with now, the lesser of evils, honestly, in a lot of situations in government and politics and finance, and that's at that level.
Yes,
You know?
I agree.
It's almost like you're saying we should drain the swamp, Lenny.
Absolutely. I'll pull the plug.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
I have no problem with that.
I think most people on the left want to drain the swamp. They just don't want Trump to be the one to pull the plug. It's like anybody him, and we're okay with it.
Right.
Well, if the swamp did get drained and it was Trump that did it, would that make you mad or would that make you glad?
You know, I'm very frightened because I watched something, I've been watching a lot of documentaries lately, and, if I say this out loud, I don't think I'm giving anybody in that world an idea of how to do it, because when Roosevelt, of all people, as liberal as you're going to find, or as progressive at the time,
Yep.
when he was getting pressured to, and I don't know if it was his own manifestation or if he was pressured to intern the Japanese, he did it with the stroke of a pen with an executive order, and the language in it is what chills my blood today, in that it was anybody who was deemed to be against the best interest of America or the United States, which is a pretty broad and random sentence to apply to anybody who you may disagree with.
Yes.
So should Donald Trump win and he carries through with his on day one, he has the power, sadly, or any president does, not just him, to write an executive order and says, this person's a detriment to the United States, lock him up. And he's got Roosevelt as the template.
But we've already seen that in the last 4 years.
Yeah,
So
that's already
so
happening.
the current
But it's just him that they're trying to lock up.
But the current administration, if it disagreed with your opinions on things that might or might not have happened in the last few years, right, and how you viewed that and how you viewed the guidelines, shall we say, that were out there,
Okay.
you're completely vilified if you weren't going along with what the standard process was. And to me, that was a scary thing as well. I mean, I'm a guy who I love to go surfing, right? We closed the beaches here in St. Augustine. There was no need to close the beaches. I mean, except for the fact that there were.
You're talking about. I was going to ask you an example.
We don't say that word.
We
Lenny.
don't say
it's just that thing that happened.
Okay.
Threads is amazing.
Yes.
Threads is
Threads.
amazing.
Okay.
Mark Zuckerberg should be
Great
the
guy.
MMA champion fighter of the world. He's an amazing guy.
Elon Musk is a chicken for not taking up the
There
fight.
you go.
Yes.
Thanks, Beebs. Yes.
Absolutely.
All
I
right.
don't care about your
Hey.
back,
So-
sir.
I'm just saying, so there was a
Right.
lot in that point where the government took a lot of power. And to me, I disagree with some of the decisions they made. If you look in retrospect, a lot of people now do.
Right.
But at the time, if you did, you were vilified. And there were
Yeah.
countries around the world that took it even greater steps than what ours did.
Right.
So if you were in Australia and you walked into a store, you were supposed to scan your phone on a device that would keep track of you, right? So if you walked in at 9 o'clock and then somebody else walked in at 9:05 and you hadn't left the store yet, you might be told to stay home for a while. And to me, that's even worse, right? I mean, those are, I look at, and I think, Bush W, right, created Homeland Security. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's happened since then that hasn't been positive
Yeah.
for our freedoms in this country. The fact that you had a CIA director say, no, we haven't knowingly spied on Americans. Right?
We don't think
we
we
haven't
did.
knowingly.
I ain't
You
buying-
mean you
I
didn't
ain't
knowingly
buying
did
that.
it, but then you found out about it
mean,
later? I mean, how do you not
accidents
knowingly?
happen.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean,
I didn't tell anybody to do that.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah, I know.
He
I
used
didn't,
the
I didn't
Steve Urkel
knowingly
defense.
take $10,000 from Blake's account.
Right.
It unknowingly happened. I guess that's Shohei Otano's
That's exactly right.
interpreter.
That's the
I
interpreter's
didn't
line.
knowingly
Right.
gamble $3.5 million of his money away.
Boy, and I
So,
thought I was a bad gambler. Holy shit.
I thought I was bad as well.
Yeah. I'm
But
feeling
you just
better.
didn't have Shohei
Shohei Ohtani.
Otani's money. If you had his
Right.
money, you could be a worse gambler. You
Yes.
try that with your dad, you're going to be broke very quickly
Oh,
and in trouble.
no, hold
I'm
on.
looking for an apartment where you're paying rent.
Yes.
I mean, I mean, personally, rate wise, my dad was probably the worst gambler
Yeah.
of all time. Like definitely rate base, he was the worst.
Yeah.
I think he always bet against Michael Jordan just out of spite.
He did. You know, he was really horrible because he always bet against the Seminoles and the Braves. So you know how bad he was.
In the 90s.
No, so I think that at all levels, we all ought to be concerned about how much power the government now has, right? And it's not just the government, it's the tech companies, right?
Sure. More,
I mean,
more than the government, actually.
You want to see how much power the tech company has? Mention some random product while your phone is sitting next to you and see how long before an ad comes up for that. That ought to tell you all that you need to know about how much information is being taken from us every single minute of every single day.
I have conceded the fact that there really is no privacy unless you're exceedingly, tech conscious and can wrap yourself in, I don't know, a Faraday cage or something. But, I've given up the concept of having any real privacy anymore. If anyone wants to find out something about me or anybody else, it's easy enough to do. I don't have that technology or the ability to do it. But there's a lot of people who do. And all the the time.
It's funny
I don't
you
have a
mention
dog,
that.
but
You see, before you came on the show, I called some of my friends in the government.
and what
Let
did
me
they
reach
say?
down here and get this voluminous. No, I'm just kidding.
No worries.
No,
I've been-
but it is right. They have so much information on all of us, right?
yeah.
And obviously, we're just not interesting enough to sell it yet.
Right.
When we
yet.
become very interesting, then Blake, you're the one that's going to be in the most trouble.
What did I do now?
What did you do now? Do you want me to mention that one account that you have that we're not never supposed to mention?
Go
Oh
ahead.
no.
Where you're able to tell us whether women are mids or not? She's a mid. How do you know?
I
Your
just
dad's not here.
swiped open the app on accident.
I accidentally opened the app.
Why am I the OnlyFans reporter, huh?
Somebody's got to be. You know what? And as a married
That's a
man,
job you took yourself,
I am
bud.
incredibly grateful that out of the whole 904 Now hosts, that it's you doing it and not me. Because me and Lenny and Amanda and your dad would be toast.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we would be gone. Are you checking the account right now? You're typing rather quickly over there.
No. Just got a notification somehow. Someone saying I missed a car payment, even though I did. So I'm double checking right now.
Okay.
All right.
Hey,
Pay your bills.
hey. I don't want my Volvo with a boot in your parking lot. You want that?
No, I don't want the Volvo with a boot in the parking lot either. No, but I do think, and the thing that for me is most kind of troublesome or worrisome about where we are politically today. You and I have disagreed politically, but we've had a lot of great conversations in between shows, and I've enjoyed that. And I think you have people that just refuse to discuss things if someone doesn't agree with one of their comments or one of their statements. And I think is such a narrow-minded and dangerous place for a percentage of our population to be in. And I don't know what the total percentage of it is, but if it's 5%, 10%, it's just not a good place to be when you look at someone and say, well, I disagree with you over that, and I'm never going to speak to you again. Well, you're not going to have very many friends when you get to be 26.
And I have a dear friend of mine, a woman who I've known for 40 some odd years, who a couple years back passed a comment about another friend of ours who was, of a different political persuasion. And she said, I can't be his friend anymore. And I said, how can you not be his friend anymore?
Yeah.
This is one of my dearest friends, and he and I first of all, he and I bat heads on everything because for us, it's just exercise and sport, honestly.
Yeah.
It's one of those relationships where, he'll say blue and I'll say yellow just because. And we've been dearest of friends since the first day of college. Yeah. And that was, 43, 44 years ago. But she just said, no, I can't be his friend anymore. And I said, why? You don't have to agree with him politically. You don't have to engage, but you can't throw away 40 years of friendship. He's not a horrible person. He's just a little, deluded. but that's it. And we talk and we go and I would rather have a conversation with somebody I disagree with to try to find out if I'm off base or they're off base, or where is there a middle ground, regardless of how far to fringe you are. You got to walk on the same planet.
And I think if you put reasonable people in a room, a lot of the problems that are facing our country today, reasonable people could come up with a solution. It would not make everybody happy, but they could come up with a reasonable solution. When you put politically charged people in a room that are just running for re-election, you're not going to solve anything.
Right.
And the realization came to me a few years ago that in my lifetime, not a single big thing that we were arguing over when I was in middle school has been solved. Right. Not one. And I thought, well, why hasn't it been solved? Well, because neither side wants to solve it. Because as long as you can continue to argue over it, As long as you can rile people up over it, as long as you can, more importantly, fundraise over it,
Right, you can
there's
get
no
money
need
out of
to
it.
solve the problem. Because if you solve the problem, you lose the intensity of your voters, you lose the fundraising from your voters, you lose the ability to vilify the other side. We ought to be sitting down and going, okay, let's come up with some reasonable things. And you know what? If it doesn't work in 4 or 5 years, let's tweak it or adjust it. But it isn't the end of the world, which is what all of this stuff is being sold as, right? Donald Trump is not the end of the world if he becomes president. Joe Biden's not the end of the world if he becomes president. For one side or the other, it might be really close. Did you just hack over Joe Biden? How dare you do that?
What?
He was doing an impersonation. How did you not get that?
I was allergic to Donald Trump, man.
So I mean, we've had horrible presidents that this country has
yeah.
survived, right? What we won't survive is if we quit talking to each other.
Right.
That's what we will not survive as a
Right.
country.
And the fact that it keeps getting closer and closer to violence is horrific. And again, as you were saying, you know, it's not like if we fix this problem, there's not going to be another issue to have to deal with after that. So start, you know, checking them off and being done.
Yeah.
But so many people in elected office want to take credit for the resolution of an issue that if they're not in power, they're going to obstruct until they're back in power so that they can say, look what we did under our administration. Well, great. You took 3 years to do it instead of sharing a result with whoever's in power, whether you're a Democrat or Republican. Hold hands, solution, done, and everybody gets credit for it. And all of a sudden, we're building bridges and accomplishing things as opposed to saying, no, not until we're in power. And that happens in the Senate regularly. It happens in small administrations that are politically aligned everywhere. I mean, I lived through that in New York for years. No. We're going to no. You know, it makes no sense. Everything just gets put much further back.
And
It's
then
a waste of time.
And then it gets worse.
Yeah.
And then the problem is more complicated to unravel because you didn't deal with it earlier on.
Price tags alone, you know, double and triple because of the time factor when you're waiting.
Yes.
So yeah, no, it's a lot of it's foolish, and a lot of it's ego.
The only thing I disagree with, which says I think it doesn't have to do with what party is in power. I think neither party wants to solve the problem.
And that's a shame.
I just don't think they have a desire to fix it. I think they have a desire to stay in power.
Right.
Even if they're not the majority, they just get to stay there. And I think if you look at the way our Congress currently sits, right, there used to be about 60 seats that were toss-up seats. It's probably down to about 30 or 40 right now. And a lot of that is due to gerrymandering on both sides.
Yes.
Right? I mean, I have told, you hear all these things, well, Republicans are gerrymandering. If you don't think Democrats are doing it, go look at the congressional districts in Maryland. Yeah. Go look at how they wrap around. Every one of them wraps around. It looks like the inside of a seashell. Yeah. They wrap around the city of Baltimore so they can all grab what they need to be Democrat House seats instead of competitive House seats, or 4 Democrat seats and 1 competitive Republican. And you're like, hey, Corrine Brown wishes that her district was like that, right? I mean, hers was more compact than what some of what Baltimore is. So I just look at that and I go, it happens on both sides. Computers have allowed them the power to do that because they can tell you where your voters are and what's going on. And so I think all of that it doesn't help us as citizens in this country.
No, and you're right, because you know what the New Yorks did, what the Democrats did in New York with the gerrymandering. The seat that George Santos had for 20 minutes, originally, it was bizarre.
Best floor show I've ever seen. Just kidding.
And well, when he was wearing the boa, it really was.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
That time he had in Rio.
You know, he should actually just be done with politics and open a cabaret act. He'd be selling out every night.
Well, I think he wasn't until he got elected to Congress, and now the cabaret act is relevant.
Right.
And it might be back. He was making money on, was he doing?
Cameos.
Cameos,
Yeah.
He was making probably more money doing that than he was in Congress.
Yeah, it was Jimmy Kimmel would hire him on a weekly basis to say things, and the guy took a while before he realized what was going on.
Well, you know what happened with that, right?
He threatened to sue Jimmy Kimmel. I don't know what happened with the trial.
When Jimmy Kimmel bought the cameos, there's a place where you check whether this is going to be used for a personal message or whether it's intended to be a public message.
Right.
And he clicked personal message, and then he put it on his show and made a profit on it. So he absolutely can get sued.
So he's
and
in trouble.
Absolutely going to lose.
Okay.
He clicked the wrong license when he bought them.
All right,
So
well.
Santos is going to take him for everything, and I can't wait.
In his defense, he's going to say, my interpreter did it.
Exactly. Poor Guillermo.
Guillermo did it. I had nothing to do with it. I told him what to do. It would be like something going wrong here, and we all blame Blake, right? That boot is going on the car, Blake.
Don't worry, it was actually processed. It was fine. Just some asshole scammer.
Yes.
That's good.
Just like our comments section.
Yes.
Don't scam people.
Yes.
I'm looking at you.
No scamming.
I get calls for that sometimes, and I'm bored, and I'll answer it, and I'm like, you really need another job. This is not healthy for you. You know this is wrong. You're just doing the wrong thing. You know, I
Take
get
a look
about
at
halfway
yourself.
through the moral message, and then I get hung up. I'm like, well, maybe they'll get it. Maybe they won't. You know, I can't do it all for you, but you got to.
And it's no fun when they hang up on you, when you get to, roll them and hook them and take them for a little while, and then you get to hang up on them. But it really stinks when, you're reeling them in and they hang up on you. Because every now and again, it's fun to toy with a telemarketer.
I have a friend that'll string them along for 45 minutes until they get so mad they cuss her out and they hang up. And that's pretty fun. I'm not going to lie. It's fun. She'll put it on speaker. It's great to hear.
Yeah. That's the only way you deal with them, but none of us have the 45 minutes, right?
Right.
I mean, for me, if I see one scam call in the morning, I go, oh, God, I'm getting 20. I mean, today's my day in the queue, right? They're on the D's. Right. It's my day in the queue that night. And before my dad passed away 5 years ago, I was one of his points of contact. So somebody who sold his Medicare information to these scammers, they have my number listed with his name. So I still get calls from my dad all the time. And I'm like, we want to talk to Vernon Davis. I said, I'd love to talk to him. You think you could arrange that for me today, please? If you could do that, you would be the most awesome person in the entire world. And you would think someone would just click a box and go, this is not this guy. Nope. None of them have given a rat's rear end.
No.
And they keep calling.
Well, because if that worked, everybody would just be like, oh, sorry, Amanda's dead. Can't talk to her today. And then it would take everybody off the list. So I'm sure they don't believe you.
Yeah.
I get it.
Because that's something to lie about.
Well, I guess if you're dealing with liars, everything's a lie, right?
Yeah. If you're a telemarketer and a
that
scammer.
guy's lying too, because I'm lying to him, so he must be lying back to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy and it didn't start bad on cell phones, because I had a cell phone for a long time until everyone dropped their landlines.
Right.
And then they're like, we got to go to we got to get into these cell phone numbers. So.
Yeah.
And now they do it all during the day. It used to be, right in the middle of dinner, it was a telemarketer. Because, anybody who was polite or a friend didn't call during dinner hour.
Yes.
Not so much anymore.
No. Blake, what time is your dinner hour? 2 a.m., 3 a.m.?
My dinner?
Yeah.
Like 7:30, 8ish.
Consistently.
Not consistently.
Okay.
It basically depends on like Flagger home games or doing Bollox or just my general mood, I guess.
All right. So there was there's been several stories about college graduates that are having a hard time finding a job, questioning their college degree. As a recent college graduate, how would you describe the job market and what it was like for you when you graduated and going to work? Because you're working multiple jobs right now. Not as many as your dad did at this age, but you're in the hunt.
I mean,
Dad does at this age.
Well, what was that, Lenny?
Not as many as your dad does at this age.
Yeah.
Allegedly, some people have not seen him in some of those jobs for years.
And where is he today?
On
yeah,
vacation.
Exactly. Yeah, right.
So how would you describe the market?
I can't really give advice because I got lucky for the most part. Because so after I graduated, I was working with the 904 now doing my internship. Then became like a paid part time. Then I expanded my hours part time here at the 904 now. Then after my work with game operations at Florida College, I emailed the athletic director John Damon saying, "Hey, I'm available. I'll be in St. Augustine. So if you need me to do anything, I'll be available." So the guy responds back saying there was an internship opportunity available. So I'm part of the sports information department as a sports information intern there. So I never really had to experience like actually finding a job for myself. So,
but I think you said something that as a owner of a company, I'll do anything, right? Compared to offering someone that opportunity to try at the bottom and do anything and saying, "Oh no, I'm way overqualified for that." Have you had a job yet? No, but I'm overqualified for that. I'm not going to do that job and work my way up. I would like to start at the top with the. And by the way, what is the signing bonus for this job that I'm not going to be getting? But I'd like to know what the signing bonus is.
Exactly.
Yeah,
There are signing bonuses for jobs. I need to renegotiate my contract.
I mean,
Only if
You
you're
were
a
already under
ball
contract when that
player.
happened.
Only if you're a ball player.
Yeah. No, there were. There was a time. There have been several times in the last 10 years. where there
Military
was-
gets signing
I was going to say, right, the
bonuses.
Army does that too. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you'd have people coming out of construction or engineering programs, and the construction industry was red hot, and they would be asking their employer for a signing bonus. And it was hilarious because you'd be like, you're asking for that? For me, if we give you that, you're the first one I'm firing, right? Because everybody else came to work without that. I'm like, you're in it for you. You're the first one that's on the chopping block. You got your bonus. We're holding on to everybody else that had a family longer. So,
Nice.
but that was it. And then whenever the construction industry is in a terrible time, there ain't no signing bonus. You're starting at the bottom, right?
Right. I mean, I can see it when industries get very, very competitive and there's a fight to get the most qualified individuals. You can sweeten the pot and lure people in that way. But the expectation of having a signing bonus is pretty impressive. It depends on whether or not you're being found by a headhunter or somebody as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
All right, you guys ready to do a little trivia?
We can do that.
So we got a little trivia, and then we got about 20 minutes, and then we're going to skip out of here a little early because Amanda's got to get to church. She's got a second job to do.
Yes.
Lenny's got to get ready for his amazing show with Blake. How many drinks is Blake going to have today?
3, I think.
Three
I think
drinks.
I have him down for 3. I took the over.
Well, I see him with liquid death over there.
it's water, sadly.
I understand that, but I was trying to play it up for our listeners who didn't know. But that's okay. Thanks for killing that joke.
Right. When it was his hand, it
Mike.
looked like it was a Corona can.
Mike,
Yeah.
Mike, I have Asperger's. I always kill other people's jokes.
And
Is
in
that part of the diagnosis, stepping on the
Yes.
punchline?
Yes. Yeah.
All right. First question. We'll start with Amanda. We'll work our way around. Everybody's
All
got
right.
to turn their phones around, turn them down. We don't need anybody getting tips in. Oh, you have the black screen app. Awesome. All right.
I'm fair.
April the 2nd is a huge day in St. Augustine history. April 2nd is next Tuesday. What is so special about April 2nd in the history of St. Augustine?
April the 2nd, Ponce de Leon came.
Lenny?
Robert Seals raid.
Ponce de Leon breached St. Augustine.
He did. It was Ponce de Leon Day.
I guess.
Ponce de Leon.
Yay.
Yes.
Yeah, I took the Pirates.
We did this question last year, and the person who didn't know it was Troy. And I was like, I'm asking it again next year. We're going back again next year.
That's right. It was around Easter. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know if you guys watch 60 Minutes or not. You guys
No.
ever watch 60 Minutes?
Not in recent history.
The ticking clock show.
Yes.
Yes, that one, the ticking clock show.
Hence
So-
the name 60 Minutes.
So they had Starbird was on. It's her last name. She was on, kind of talking about how, hey, X only looks at if we complain about content on X, it only looks at like 25% of the content, and they need to be censoring more content. They need to be going through and looking for disinformation, right? So she's gone on about that. After the show was over, some people actually looked at where she gets her money from. So, what is one of the organizations that pays her?
This is Greta Thunberg.
No, her name is Starbird. She was she was the
She's definitely on the left side of the aisle.
she wants
I have no
more
idea.
social media moderation content, and she's one of the people that wants to tell you whether the content is allowable or not allowable. Back to our discussion about FDR and the
Okay.
government.
Yeah.
So, what agency, what group, what company was paying her? She didn't disclose it during the interview. The ticking clock people did not disclose it during the interview, but some internet sleuth figured it out.
Is it the NEA?
I'm gonna say so. It's your agency, company, or
Mm-hmm.
did it say specifically an agency? Or,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it could be because the FCC. No. Yeah, I'm actually gonna go with company and say Meta.
Meta, okay. Amanda?
So she's complaining about X and how X needs
Mm-hmm.
more oversight. She's part of an agency, not a company.
Both, either or.
I'm going to say X.
So she doesn't work for X. It was a very funny one because you don't know. All of you gave good answers. She was awarded $3 million from the Secure and Trustworthy Cyberspace Program, a federal fund under the Biden administration's National Science Foundation. And in
What
the
is the
past,
name of that
she
again?
has
The
worked
National
for,
Science Fund?
she has
NSF,
worked
yeah.
for the Department of Homeland Security. So here you have somebody in government
Cyberspace.
complaining about free speech and that it should be regulated while being paid by the government and not disclosing the fact that even if a dime of the money came from the government, I'm funded by the government, which I find rather troubling and worrisome. And the fact that 60 Minutes put her on without saying, hey, 60 Minutes went after the government for so many things for so long. And now with like this administration, like, there's nothing wrong. Everything's fine. Everything's good.
I see nothing.
Yes, it's the Schultz.
Sergeant Schultz.
Yes. All right. So
Blake.
Blake is up first. Earlier this month, the
Can you read
Census
it?
Bureau released data on net domestic migration. This tracks where people are moving between counties in the country. All right. So the question is, what has happened to the counties that voted for Joe Biden? Do they have more people or less people in them over the last few years?
I'm going to say less people.
If you're asking the question, it's less.
That would make sense.
It is less people. Right. So Amanda, how many people less? What number?
How many? Like
Yep.
by
Like-
percentage?
Yeah,
Or
no,
raw
just
numbers?
a number, a raw number. There's
that could be-
350
what?
million people in the country, to give you some basis to go by.
Oh, anything between 1 and
350 or
350
50
million?
million. Yep, that's it.
No problem.
Yeah.
I'll say they have, I don't know, 69 million less. To you, Lenny.
100,000.
I'm going to split and say million.
3.7 million.
Okay, it's a lot of people
Blake
moving.
it is, but it's a big number. But when you look at it in the context of
It's-
350 million people across the
It's
entire
at
country,
1%.
it's less than 1%, right? I mean, so you kind of 35 million would be 10%, right? Well, it is about 1%. Yeah, it is about 1%. But it's a big number. It's just interesting. They list some of the counties that people have left from, and one of the highest counties is Los Angeles.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they've lost about 250,000 people. In Los Angeles, when you lose 250,000 people, do you notice?
I don't think
Right?
so.
If you lost 250,000
That
people
depends.
in St. Johns County, it would be 1950
That
again.
depends. Are they
Right.
And we-
homeowners
and we
or
have
are
less
they the
traffic.
ones under the overpasses? Because there would be a difference there.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that those are probably uncounted and it'd be hard to, get
Oh,
them
no,
think
in.
Los Angeles
in
counts
Los
them.
Angeles, they're counted and they're registered
Yeah.
voters.
Yeah.
And here's a sandwich and a ride to the polls.
Yes,
Yeah,
there's a ride
exactly.
to the poll. That is
Right.
correct.
Yeah.
All right, so this week,
There were registered voters that voted in 2020 that listed their address as overpasses in Nevada.
In Nevada.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I wouldn't want to be under an overpass in Nevada.
Less in LA.
LA's not
As a
bad.
general rule, I don't want to be under an overpass
right.
unless
That's
I'm
awful.
driving through it.
All right, Lenny, this week DeSantis won a major victory. An organization that he was arguing with for some time dropped a lawsuit. Which group?
That was Disney.
Blake?
The Walt Disney Company.
Disney.
You guys, too easy. It was just too easy for
Too
you
easy,
guys.
drill
Still haven't got
sergeant.
any clarification on the details of that settlement. That now they've come to a meeting of the minds and they're settling.
They dropped the case. So the new group that is going to oversee
Right.
Ready Creek
Right.
is doing it. I don't know if you I did some research on this because I was really curious. Whenever Disney was talking about going to do a park outside of Virginia, right, outside of Leesburg.
Yeah.
Yeah. Disney's America, I believe it
Yeah,
was.
Disney's America, right? There was a editorial. This was in about 2000, right?
Okay.
So kind of pre all of this really nasty left-right stuff that's been going on. And it said no state should be dumb enough to give a corporation the ability to govern themselves, right? So this is the Washington Post telling Virginia legislators, do not do the dumb deal that Florida did.
Right.
Then DeSantis tries to take over the Ready Creek, taking the advice of the Washington Post, and everybody on the left grills him for wanting to grab. And I'm like, wait, did you guys not read the article back from there? That was like a good article, right? No company should have that much control or that much power.
Since when do you want corporations to have control?
Right.
Yes. All right, who's up next?
I think that's
Blake?
where we started earlier. Yeah, you know.
So the city of Oakland has ordered an elderly man to be fined for not cleaning up the graffiti on the back wall of his house.
That he did not do.
That he did not do. He is in a wheelchair. So he is an elderly man. How old is this man that the city of Oakland is fining for not cleaning up the graffiti that he did not do?
I'm gonna say 89.
I'm going to say 90.
85. I'll take the under.
Who had that? 102.
Wow.
Oh,
A
yeah.
102-year-old man.
How dare you not go scrub graffiti out of your building?
From your wheelchair.
From
Yes.
your wheelchair.
Okay, but in Oakland, there's nobody who has to do community service that the judge can't assign to clean this
No,
man's
because
house.
they won't prosecute them. There aren't any.
I don't
Community
think that's
service.
a crime anymore. And I think community service is, I don't think you're allowed to do that.
What? Because it would be on private property.
No, I don't know. I think probably
Isn't it-
they've outlawed all of
isn't
those
it
things.
called- I
That's
think-
called punishment. You're not allowed to have punishment for crimes anymore. You're just supposed to have empathy.
The documentary, The 13th, calls it modern day slavery.
Community service.
Community service, because you're lording it over vulnerable peoples that they have to serve you for free.
Well, the alternative is jail. Do
Which
they get an
they
option?
also call modern day
I
slavery.
did not realize you were such a hard rock conservative.
You'd be surprised,
Sending
Mike.
people to jail.
You would be surprised.
Are you amazed at this too, Blake? You
No.
look surprised, shocked.
I'm a mystery wrapped in an enigma.
Okay. Lenny,
Me,
have
I
the
think.
Is it?
Okay.
Me.
Yep, Amanda. All right. So this week, Donald Trump's Truth Social debuted on the stock exchange. It has done very well. It has propelled Donald Trump to this ranking in the top 500, Forbes top 500 list for the first time ever in his life. What ranking has he vaulted to because of the value of Truth Social's stock?
Like what number?
What number? Yep, what number? Richest in the world.
I'm going to say 324. Oh,
Yeah, he only picked up a mere $6 billion. So right. So considering he didn't have
7.1 billion to be exact.
today,
Yeah,
right,
mere
right,
six,
right,
I'll
right.
give you, but 7.1 is really impressive. No, I'm just
Right. Well, and it's funny too because everything you read is, this is not something that's built on anything, but it's going to keep going up until it doesn't. So if you can do it as a regular investor and get out, you'd be doing very, very well.
Yeah.
But the short sellers got creamed apparently just
can't-
in a short couple of days.
he can't sell for 6 months. I
6
think
months,
is
he's
the
got a
deal.
lockup.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. I don't know, 499.
just squeaking in, proving you may not agree with Forbes.
All right. I'm gonna say 401.
Amanda's actually correct. It's 387.
Really? From
Wait,
where
hold
was he?
on. Which
Right.
what number did you say?
324.
I said 401.
I was trying not to make you right on a Trump question. I didn't want to have to go to therapy.
So I was
All
the
right,
closest.
Blake is the closest.
But did it have where he was? How many places he moved up? Was he
Yeah.
in the top 500 before
Trump
then?
previously.
No,
in
this
tw-
is the first time in his life.
No. Trump
thought you said-
previously in 2016, the year he was president, his net worth was 4.5 billion, according to Forbes. In 2020, the year he had his reelection, this is stolen. I don't think that's correct. His net worth also hit a record recent low, dropping down to 2.1 billion, proving that Donald Trump may be the only person elected to office that left office with less money than he went in.
He's the only president in modern history that left the White House poorer than he was when he walked in.
Aw.
It's almost as if he didn't do it for the money.
That kind of stuff.
And there goes the liberal coming out.
What happened to the emoluments clause? Well, it's true.
Well,
for-
I'm sorry.
fortunately, I have it
Was
all-
Nancy Pelosi stopped from becoming a millionaire billionaire with stock trades when she was?
None of them should be doing that.
Okay, but
Yeah.
Donald Trump was the only one that was stopped from doing business at all when he was president, and he got poorer.
There's a lot
there's
of
a
people
s-
staying in the post office.
There's a stock guy right now that his whole advice is he follows the stock trades of congressmen and women and senators and then tells you this is what stock they bought. If you had followed his advice, you are wildly ahead of where average investing is. Yeah. So apparently, if you follow what Congress is buying, you'll do okay. Which speaks volumes about our current situation.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and there's constant talk and no follow-through on either them having to put everything in a blind trust or just not being able to trade stock while in office.
Yes.
Which makes a whole lot of sense.
I would love for them to not be able to trade stock.
Wouldn't that be lovely?
All right. Right now, Blake has 5, Amanda 4, Lenny 2. Welcome to trivia.
Okay.
All right. So this week, Jon Stewart made fun of Donald Trump for lying about overvaluing his property, right? Someone said, you know what? Let's go look at Jon Stewart. So what New York did is they looked at Donald Trump's appraised value, right? Which if you own property, the last thing you will sell your property for is what the government appraises it for. It would be the dumbest thing you could possibly do. So they took that appraised value and then looked at what Donald Trump said it was worth and said, this is what he cheated on, right? No one sells anything for, unless you're in dire straits, for what it's appraised at. The appraisals always lag behind. So someone looked at Jon Stewart's penthouse apartment, whatever, condo that he sold in New York. How much did Jon Stewart inflate? So if you go the appraised value for it and what he sold it for, right? He later, the person that bought it from him, sold it for less money. So the question is Jon Stewart guilty of also overinflating his property, right? But how much did he inflate it by? What percentage?
It's you.
That's me?
Yep.
I'm going to say 500%.
I think it's more than that. I'm going to say 800%.
Over appraised value? You double it. So how many percent would doubling the appraised value be?
200%.
Fine. I'll go with that.
Amanda's right at 800%.
Really? Okay.
So 800%. So Jon Stewart goes on and gives Trump grief, and then someone looks at it and says, well, buddy, you sold yours. Now, in Jon Stewart's defense, he did nothing wrong.
Right.
He just simply sold a piece of property. He said, this is what I think it's worth. Somebody else agreed and paid for it. That's how capitalism works, which is exactly what Donald Trump did, but you'll never see Jon Stewart drugged before.
Well, I think there's a distinction because government appraisals are to base your tax rate, to base your taxes on. Which I think a government appraisal would be different than a commercial appraiser who's going to appraise your property for a sale. And I think those two numbers would probably be very distinct and different.
But they didn't use that number. And even if you use a commercial appraisal, because we've had those, the appraisal is based on past sales.
Right. It's
It's based on
comparative
past
values.
sales. So
Right.
if you had a property that it's really difficult to find a past sale on, appraisals will tell you they're having a hard time. So if Trump were to sell a property that was the most expensive property in the area,
Mar-a-Lago,
what do you appraise it against?
Right.
Yeah.
There's not seven
There's
other
no
Mar-a-Lagos.
There's no comps. Exactly. There's no comps.
So it's
Yeah.
a very subjective thing. And the banks know that it's a very subjective thing. And depending on who you are and what your lending history is and what the risk is, the bank decides to take the risk with you or they don't. They pass on the deal.
Right.
So it's a
Do you want to know what's funny? Because
Yes.
I read the story. Is a duplex that Jon Stewart sold. He sold it for like $17 million,
Nice.
which is roughly what the court is saying Mar-a-Lago's worth.
Really?
Yes. They're
Okay.
saying that he overvalued it because it's only worth $17 million,
That's a
which
little
is
high
what
there.
Jon Stewart sold his condo for. So what's funny about this story also is that Jon Stewart went off about how everyone's saying this is a victimless crime, but there is a victim, and he makes this case of how he avoided paying taxes on it, and he's the reason somebody else didn't get a loan because he overinflated his value, and so the bank
ran out of money?
unfairly
Right.
the bank unfairly gave him a loan instead of someone who was being honest about the appraisal, and so this is absolutely a crime with a victim. And meanwhile, he sold the duplex to someone for $17 million. That person then lost $4 million when they sold it. So Jon Stewart actually did create a victim that lost $4 million by overvaluing his property. Trump did not. No one lost money and everyone was happy. There is no victim. There is no complainant.
Right. But in the case of the poor man who lost $4 million, it also could have been a timing issue from when the real estate market was where it was.
100% agree with that.
Yeah.
That is
100%.
100% possible, but Jon Stewart said that there is a victim based on this wild stretch when he actually did theoretically cause someone to lose $4 million.
Well, no, because
who
if
made a victim?
if the man didn't sell the property, he would still have a $17 million property.
Maybe, maybe not. Probably not today.
It might have dropped down. You don't know.
Right.
Right. I mean, that's kind of the thing.
But, you know, also, but if the market changed to $17 million property, he could have been $21 million and he could have made $4 million.
Well, the
he
state
sold
says
it, so-
the state says it's worth less than $1 million.
All right, we're trying to get out of here early. We got a 5-5 tie.
All right.
All right.
You have a 5-5 tie. I'm just here. I'm just here floundering.
You're a free agent, baby.
I'm floundering, baby.
Yeah.
I go to the highest
I'm getting
bidder.
a stink eye from Blake.
What was Tim Burton's first movie that he directed?
Tim Burton's
first
directed
movie.
movies.
Yes.
I'm gonna say Cleopatra because I know he married Elizabeth Taylor.
That's Richard Burton.
That's Richard
I
Burton.
don't know. He's a Burton.
True.
I would
Oh,
name a bunch of
wait.
movies.
Tim Burton?
Yes,
Yeah.
Tim Burton.
Okay, Tim Burton. I know who Tim Burton is.
You
The
think
first
you know.
movie, the first movie that he directed, I'll say Nightmare Before Christmas. At least that's a movie he directed.
I'll go with Coraline.
Oh no.
Oh, wait,
that
it
was
wasn't Coraline.
2009.
Yeah.
Nightmare Before Christmas.
You guys are all gonna laugh, and I don't blame
It's
you
that
for
with
this.
Scissorhands.
Pee-wee's Big
I knew
Adventure.
that.
Really?
Pee-wee's
that.
Big Adventure was
Yeah.
the
All
first
right.
one. All right, Lenny, what was Pixar's first movie?
Wasn't Wally.
Full length?
Is it full length or is it
Full-length movie.
short?
What was Pixar's first movie?
Alright.
Wasn't Iron Giant. David worked on it. I have no idea.
Toy Story.
It's Toy Story.
Okay.
All right, you guys are still tied. All right, one more question. What is the highest grossing movie of all time adjusted for inflation?
Adjusted for
Just for inflation?
Yes.
All right. I'm gonna say Gone with the Wind.
You want to say something?
Sure. We'll go with The Godfather.
I'm going to say Avatar.
Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
For the wind. Gone with the Wind. All right, those are good questions. I'm glad you read them all and put marks by the ones you knew.
I didn't do that. I printed those out over a year ago.
Fix.
All right. Anyway, all right. So quick, Bollox tonight.
Yes, Bollox tonight.
So it's Easter traditions around the world. Lane, do you have anything good?
I got a lot of good ones.
Good.
Blake,
Why?
do you have anything bad?
at all?
Yes.
You got some bad stuff?
Yes.
Lenny's got some good
I
stuff.
got
Tune
good
in for
stuff.
bad stuff and good stuff. And you know what? It'll be a lot more entertaining than when Troy was on. Did I say that out loud? I didn't mean to say
All
that
right.
out
Bye,
loud.
everyone. Go.
Bye, everybody.